Hello, my name's Bob from Star Valley Systems, and this is a video on how to check the operation of the display on a Bridgeport machine. This particular display is a Heidenhain BF370, and the usual fault symptom is a completely blank display. You'd normally have an orange screen on these particular displays. So the first thing to do is to actually verify that power is going to the display itself. And on the reverse side of the display, you'll see here that there is the power connector, the video connector, the connector for the keypads on the front here. Sorry, the keypads on the front, and an earth tag, and those will be the four connections that will be in place. And what we want to do is verify that the power supply in the unit here under this cover is actually working or not. And the quickest way of doing that is actually so this is the DC connector which goes into here, and what we're going to do is just verify that that the power is working. And the easiest way of doing that is seeing that the fan is actually spinning here. So I'm going to turn it on, and you can see that this fan is spinning, and it's spinning fairly fast. You can't see the actual blades turning. So that is spinning quite well. It is slightly noisy, so I would normally replace the fan on this particular display. If it's making a slight squealing noise like that, it's a sign that the bearings are starting to go. And this is one of the failure mechanisms for these displays. The fans actually seize, and then the power supply inside heats up and burns up. So in this particular case, the power supply seems to be working. You can connect a digital voltmeter across these two points here to check for 24 volts DC. But if this fan is running and running well, then that's an indication that the 24 volts is okay. So at this point, I would normally say that the power supply is probably okay, and that the display is defective and needs replacing. But inside this unit, the 24 volts is actually converted to 12 volts, which runs the fan, and 5 volts, which runs the display. So even though the fan may be running, indicating that the 12 volts is present, the 5 volts may not be present to power the display. And normally what I'd recommend, if you're not comfortable with electronics and checking things, is to send this complete monitor to us. We will then check out the power supply and also check out the display and replace or repair either or both. Okay, I hope that's a quick little video to show you how to check for the correct power supply operation on the unit. Now, if you'd like to check the power supply out further, it's necessary to remove this metal cover here. So I'm going to remove these 4 screws. Okay, that's the 4 screws for the cover removed, and what I'm going to do is just spin this around, and then we lift the cover up, and be careful as we're lifting because there is a cable under here, and as we lift this up you can see that we've got a cable going to this connector here, which simply removes, and there we have the power supply separated from the actual display itself. I'm going to spin this around, and here we have the EL electroluminescent display itself, and the unit in this particular monitor is a Sharp LJ640U34, and it will typically be a Sharp LJ640U34 or a U32, or it can be a planar EL640, either a CB3 or either a CD2 or a CD4 type display. And what we actually do, these are more or less obsolescent, these Sharp displays. You can still get some originals, but we found it's better to actually replace these with a more modern replacement, and that is actually what we do when the display is defective. And you can send your display, your monitor, to us, and we will replace the display if that's actually needed. And then here we have the unit, which is the power supply itself. So that's the front side, as you've seen before, and this is the back side. And in here we've got the 24 volts entering here, and then down here, I'm not sure if you can see it, I'll try and zoom in slightly. Let's just zoom in there, and then here we have some connections which say 0 volts and 12 volts, and 0 volts and 12 volts, and then 5 volts plus 5 volts. And with the 24 volts connected to here, you can have the display either still connected or removed as it is like this. You can power up the unit with 24 volts, and then with a multimeter check to see that the 12 volts is present across there. If the fan is spinning correctly, then that 12 volts is probably there. But then you also need to check the 5 volts, which is the power that goes to the display to power the display. If the power supply checks out fine, then it will be the display that is faulty, and that will need to be replaced. If you find the power supply is faulty, then again we can repair those power supplies for you, so send the unit to us and we'll do a prompt repair on it. Okay, thanks.